All right, good afternoon. This is the first hangout for the data contest, and we'll be talking about data today, of course. And the things that we're going to be talking about is primarily how to use data that is related to the very large data sets that come out of Ambry, which is a system that my company creates to distribute data. And I've got a couple of Ambry databases for presenting crime data and census data, and we'll get started with that in just a little bit. We currently don't have any viewers, so I'm going to wait a little bit and see who shows up. So we'll take a little bit of a break here, and I'll pick it up as soon as we get a few folks on board. Remember, if you look at the Google page, the Google Plus page for this Hangout, you'll notice a link that'll get you right into the Hangout rather than the delayed Hangout on the air link or presentation, which is about 30 seconds delayed. So we're gonna take a little break here while we're waiting for folks to show up. Let's see. I don't know why. Now, if you want to skip ahead on the video, if you're watching this on the video, just skip ahead to where you see the blue screen disappear, and that will be the point that we get into the meat of it. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. We got a few folks showing up, and remember, we've got a couple places here that you can view this. You're either viewing it on YouTube on the main page, or if you look at the link in the comments that we've got from the Google Plus page, you can get right into the Hangout. There's no time delay on that, so it's a little easier to ask questions. For some reason, our Q&A system's disabled. Not sure why that is, but if I get that back turned on, you'll be able to ask questions. Otherwise, you'll have to jump into the chat and ask questions to the chat system. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is go into the, let me go give you a presentation screen here. All right, so we're going to open up a new window. And we're going to go into the web application. So that's at sandiegodata.org contest app. And we're going to hit the data page here. So I've added some new links to the data page. As you're down at the bottom when it says Sqlite databases. Now, these are, Sqlite is a tool that we presented last week on some of the tools presentations from last week, and they are they're single file databases. They can hold a lot of data in the gigabytes range, and they're very useful for a couple of things. In particular, they're great for doing queries if you want to put a bunch of CSV files in the one spot and do a query. And they make it really easy to load geographic data in if you use a geographic data extension. I'll show you a little bit about how to do that. So the first thing is that you'll notice we've got a couple things called Ambry here. There's the Ambry food database, and these links down here are to the Ambry education database. Let me see if I can make this a little bigger. How's that? Okay, so if we click into these databases, you're going to get a site that looks like this. And so Ambry is my company's product. This is very new. It's actually alpha level software, so it's kind of buggy. But it does mostly what we need it to do. And in this case, if you get into the site from the beginning of it, you'll see that there's a you'll see that there are files specifically for this contest. Let me go present everyone. If for those of you viewing, our Q&A system's not working right now, I think you might be able to ask comments on the Google Plus page. I'll try to reload that every now and then and address your comments if you're in there. It doesn't seem to be showing me exactly who's viewing, so I'm not sure who's here and who's not. But if you can try to send comments to this, we should be able to get you get any questions answered. So again, the Ambry site is showing you some of the data sets that we've prepared for the contest. These tend to be the very large data sets in the system and the contest, or things that we've done special work to clean. There's also some crime data. There's some data related to testing, school testing. So if we go and look at these files, you'll see that what you've got in there is a collection of tables, and each of these is a data set we've pulled in from a different source. The table ID, which is the formal name of the table, will give you a schema for that table, tell you what all the things in the table are. These are the column names, and this is the name that will actually show up in the database, these funny long strings, along with some of the documentation of it. If you click on the partition part here, it'll take you into more formal documentation for that data set. And this is where you can go to the main website that the data comes from. So here it is, the Public Schools database of the California Department of Education. Let's go back. Or you can get the data dictionary that tells you more about what all these files mean. Sometimes, very often, our documentation isn't quite complete, and you'll want to go into the data dictionary. So again, to get there, we're going to the root of the Ambry database. You're clicking on one of the education file or one of the databases in there. And then you can either go to the table and link through to the partition name, or you can click this one here, and that'll get you into a description of the data set. So if you want to know all about the Monarch referrals, here they are. Or if you want to know all about, let's say, the CLDT data, here's the links to all those documentation. The sources, which if it gets large is going to be collapsed, click on that and you'll see a list of the data files. These are actually, if you look down at the URL that pops up, these are actually the zip files. These are links back into the California Department of Education. So this is where you can get the original sources from. These files here will be the ones that show up on the download page. Now the way that this system's supposed to work is that if you, let's go back. If you click on these if you click on the link right here, it says Sqlite. This is called a DSN. It's a formal specification of a database on a file, just like a URL. You're supposed to be able to download the database. If you click on this, it'll probably time out and you'll get a corrupt database, simply because the software I've got will only run for 30 seconds before it decides that your request didn't work. And so we've got other links that can get you these databases, and that's what we'll talk about next. So if we go back to the contest app, we've got a couple new links down. Oh, let me get back to the data page. We've got a couple new links down here. These Sqlite databases are direct links to a hosted version of the database that you can download and use without timing out. So let's go download one of these. Let's try the education files. Those are actually shorter. Oh, this one's 2.6 gigabytes. It's going to run for a while. So I'm going to cancel this one because we're not going to get this done in a reasonable amount of time. I actually happen to have this locally, so we'll just use that one instead. So let me go open up a browser. Unfortunately, these have funny names. So here's some of the ones I downloaded earlier. And you can see they're kind of big. This one's 2.6 gigabytes. I forget which one this is. You can see the number, the M81. That's actually the same number that shows up in the. It's called a. It'll show up right here on the name of the database. So let me get this. So M81, that's this one right here. It's the food insecurity files. So if I double click on this, I've got a application installed for opening up Sqlite files. You can get a lot of these things if you just do a search for Sqlite, maybe Sqlite Viewer or Sqlite GUI. Got a whole bunch of them. They've got them for every possible operating system. And using that, I can open these right up. And at this point, you're going to need to, you're probably going to want to learn a little bit of SQL code. There's lots of tutorials online for it. You can view things pretty easily from here. So if you wanted to get the partners list, this is the San Diego Food Bank partners list. There's your list of data, and you can just export it and get it down in a variety of formats. Most likely you want it in Excel. You can select which items you want. Or you can get it as a CSV file. The real value of this is that you can select, oops, just crashed, is that you can select certain files. Or you can select certain records depending on what you're interested in. So let's take a look at the crimes data. This one is a very large file. It's got lots and lots of records in it. And let's suppose that you are doing a analysis that requires that you select only a certain type of record. Hopefully it's not crashing on me. Seems to be giving me a spinning. There we go. So here's all the records, and you can see that this one right here, this column, this is kind of slow. It has fraud as one of the fraud and arson. I just sorted it. So it's called legend. So we can write a query that will allow you to select just the fraud cases. So we can do that by creating a SQL. Kind of funny, you can't see the spinning beach ball on Google Hangouts. So what we're going to do is again, you'll have to learn a little bit of SQL code, but I'll just show you how this works here. To select just the fraud cases, we're going to select every star means everything. And we've got PO2J crimes, and then where. Let's see now. This is, we want the things to start with PO2J crimes, and where you can see that there's different hours. These numbers are fairly complicated, but they're required for the way the system works. You can have tables with hundreds of thousands of columns, well, tens of thousands of columns, and so all those funny characters at the front are required to be able to know what you're doing. We're looking for legend. Let's go down and find, where's legend? Let me see. Well, we can go look at the schema here. And we want CO2J0104 legend. Wait, which one was that? CO2J. CO2J. Let's restrict this down to, where'd legend go? Oh, there it is, right here. So we're going to pluck out this one. It's not letting me have it. There it is. Equals frog. There we go. We execute that. It's working through about 800,000 records, so it takes a while. But now I've got just the fraud records, and I can go export this if I wanted to. Now you'll want to learn a little more about how SQL works, but this will give you a head start on that. We can also take a look at how to do this on the command line. Again, you'll want to look for a Sqlite tool, command line tool. But when you do that, you'll be able to do this. Let's see, we want to get this guy here. And then let's just copy that same query. It's a little bigger. Oh, there it goes. Lots of stuff there. Let's now SQLite's got a whole bunch of options to it. One of them is header, and another one is CSV. And when we do that, we're going to get a CSV file. And if we open it, then we've got a CSV file. Oops. Taking a while. Oh, there's a lot of records here. There it is. So now we've got this into a CSV file. Okay, so that's the gist of how to deal with with SQLite. Again, you're going to have to learn a few extra tools to get that going, but it should be helpful. Now let's take a look at this other file. Now this one here, this larger one, this is the demographics database, and this one is a little special because it's geographic. So if we open this one up, actually let's do this like this. You'll see there's a whole bunch of geometry tables in it. All these geometry tables are related to the geographic queries. And it allows us to do some extra special stuff with it. In particular, what we're going to show is how to do QGIS. This is a tool called QGIS, and we demoed this last week as well. Go shrink it down a bit and get it in there. So with QGIS, we can open up. We're going to click on the little line, which means vector. and then open up that 1.2 gigabyte file. And when we do, it'll take a while to run. It's kind of slow. It's real slow. Now it's going to give me a request to which layers I want to add. There's 2 geographic tables in here. These are got the crazy table names we saw before. This one is block groups. So these are one of the smallest units of geography in the census. And let's zoom in a bit. We can go see what's going on in Southern California. These aren't real good colors, but let's see if we can get a different color on here. There we go. Here's another color. So you can see these are the boundaries of what are called block groups. They're one of the smaller units of census geography. And what we'd really like to do is to get those block groups to have some other value associated with them. Now, this is a bit complicated, and I'll be releasing, we'll show you it anyway. It's a little hard to do, but I'll be releasing files with this already done for you in a little bit. But let's go get rid of this, remove that. And then for this, you will need to have a tool called Sqlite. Sqlite is just Sqlite, except that it has extensions for geographic files. So if we open up that file with Sqlite, then we can go enter geographic queries, and I've got one. Again, I will forward these to you in a bit. You can write queries. You see where it says ST area transform. We're doing some geographic transformations on this data, and in this particular case, it's spitting out this last number here is the area of each of those block groups in square meters. So what I'm going to do is enter in a, show you this. We're going to cut and paste this query. This query here is, again, I'll post a message to the message boards with all this text in it, and actually I'll put this in the file so you don't have to do this yourself. This is taking a whole bunch of census files and linking them together geographically. Let me show you how we got that. So if you go to, oops, the demographics file, you can see there's a whole bunch of these census files. So this is the sex by age. This number right here is the census number. You can go search on this on the web and you'll find this table. In this case, we're doing this for the 5-year ACS, which is the American Community Survey. And this one here is the easiest one to understand. It's just total population. So if we look at this, you'll see, this is really hard to, no, let's try that. Here's this line right here is actually the population of that census block. And if we look on here, what's it say? It's this number right here. So it's this column over here in the sample data. You can see there's, well, there's 800,000 people in this one. This is not just for blocks. This is all geography. So this one's probably a state. And it's actually for Virginia. So that's probably the whole state of Virginia right there, 8 million people. This is probably something like the rural population of Virginia. As you go down, we need to be able to select down, so we're going to have to join this on something else, which is what our query's for. But you can take this column right here, this GVID, This is a column that we created, my company created, to connect census blocks on a single value. And when you look at the the query, these joins right here are connecting the GVIDs from this index. So the index is a list of all the census blocks. These GVIDs are links of all the, they're the key. So we've created a table which has just block groups, and it links together all these census values. Now, as you can see from the documentation, it's the means of transportation to work, the aggregate time to work, household income in the past 12 months, public assistance income. So again, in a day or two, I'll have this file up online for you to just download. But if you wanted to run this right now, what we would do is we're going to create a view called AC. We're going to paste this in. Okay, so now we should be able to type select star from ACSBG. I'll get a whole bunch of stuff. Now this is the part that's kind of tricky. We're going to create a table out of that. Oh, I know what I can do. All right, so now we've got ACSBG. Back in there. Now, there's a neat feature here where you can export data files. So we're going to dump this to KML. And let's go dump KML ACSBG. I need to figure out what the GL column is. Here's the block group. So this is my geometry column right here. And the file is acs.kml. Try that. Whoop. And do we have an acs.kml? Where'd it go? All right, awesome. So now we can probably open this up in QGIS. Let's go to my desktop. There we go. So as we mentioned in the documentation, if you look at that index file, it's right here, block group index. This is an index of all the block groups. It's restricted to San Diego County. So where previously the view that we saw in QGIS was the whole state, now it's just the block groups. And if we open up the table for this, let's open up the edge group table. Oh, here it is. That's not good. Hold on a sec. I may have we may be missing something here. Oh, you know what? It didn't work. So this conversion to KML didn't quite work. Let's try something else. Let's try a shapefile. Sorry about that. So up here we can dump GeoJSON, we can jump KML. Let's dump a shapefile. Okay, let's try this. Wait, what was it again? Dump SHP. Let's try this. Huh. We're looking for arguments: table name, column name, shape path, character set. I don't even know what that character set is. Well, I'm having some troubles with this one. Let's try GeoJSON. GeoJSON. Okay. Now if we open this up and we're going to browse, go to downloads. Oh, that didn't work either. Well, I'll have to put a little more work in that. That's not what's supposed to happen. But you get the gist of it. Let's try opening up this whole file and see if it gives us as a table. Let's see where it is. We might be able to open the database back up again and just pull out that. Nope, it's a little more complicated than that. You can look at the counties. There's all the counties in the United States. So I got a little more work to do to get you that file, but if you want to explore these tools, they're really powerful ways to get to use more complicated data. You'll have to download a Sqlite browser and then go to the page or the data page and download the individual databases. If you're just going to, but now for this, now that we've gotten all the way to the end of this, we'll show you just the real simple way to get one of these files. You can just click on the CSVs to just get the file itself. Some of these are kind of big. These star tests, I think, are in the several 100,000 records at the very least. But if you're going to get the referrals, for instance, just click on the CSV. They'll download pretty fast. And then you'll have the clean data there. Meanwhile, if you click on the link here, you'll get the documentation for it. And when we've gotten some of the issues with the geographic files worked out, we'll get you those. If you have any issues with geographic files, you need some more immediate answers, send me an email or post something to the group, the Google Groups, and we'll try to get you some help more immediately. But otherwise, I'd love to hear about how the project's going for you, and look forward to talking with you again on future Hangouts. Thanks. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go check the one more check on the Hangout. Nope, nobody's asked a question yet. So, I guess we're done for today. Look forward to chatting with you again later. Thanks.